Hey guys, how's everyone doing? To all my followers, I hope you guys are all staying safe, staying healthy, trying to socially distance and quarantine yourselves as necessary. To all my new followers, my name is Mike Greenwald, and today I will be talking about an issue that I really care about, and it has something to do with the virus actually. Now, as COVID-19 continues to wreak havoc across the world, some nations are really being severely impacted due to how poor their healthcare systems are. And there are some nations also that are kind of getting away with it. They're flying under the radar, and they're not really being noticed. And mainly it has to do with state-controlled media. Russia is a nation that is notorious for their Kremlin-backed media, and they have a very deep history of misrepresenting important data and spreading misinformation, purposely disinformation, and this is very concerning. And it's also extremely dangerous for around the nearly 150 million people that live within Russia's borders. COVID-19 in Russia is getting so bad that local nonprofits are providing families a place to stay, like in temporary shelters, especially in Moscow. And these places, as you can see, they're cramped with barely any place to put your belongings, and at times you'll be sharing this area with people that you don't really know. And not only is it essentially impossible to effectively socially distance here, but not every family or person is lucky to receive this kind of help. Here in this next picture, this is Yekaterina and Alexander with three of their four children. She wrote to Putin actually for help, asking him for help to pay for an apartment, but they never heard back. She feels abandoned and explains it as if they're on a sinking ship, a sinking boat rather, and nobody is coming to help. Her husband just lost her job, and because of this, they got kicked out of their apartment because they can't pay the bills. This next picture here is Ivan Molchanov. He's a 33-year-old welder who was fired from his job and kicked out of his apartment as well. He had to live on the streets for 20 days, sleeping in bathhouses before he was able to find a place to stay. He also says that he feels incredibly abandoned, and this is a common theme across Russia. Russia really isn't making any of this better for themselves. Last week, they drew a lot of attention when several nations across the Western world called them out for hacking into pharmaceutical and academic facilities in order to try to steal information in regards to a COVID-19 vaccination. And this comes off the heels of Russia sending a lot of medical equipment across the world that later were discovered to be faulty medical equipment, especially at a time when their own people are screaming for help, saying that they need supplies. There are hospitals in Russia where they're being quarantined from the inside, and 75% of medical staff are being infected by the virus. On top of this, many data and disease experts across the world and even in Russia are saying that the Russian government is misrepresenting the COVID-19 data. Typically across the world, especially in the United States, the standard of reporting COVID, especially here in the United States, is that if you get COVID and you die from COVID, or if you die while you have COVID, the death is labeled as a COVID related death. This helps set a standard across the world. In Russia, however, people could be getting COVID and still dying, but they won't be marked as a COVID related death. They can be marked as a cancer related death, a blood clot related death. And this huge discrepancy allows Russia to report low numbers and showcase that the country and the people are doing better than in actuality. Now, you might be wondering why. Why is Russia doing this? Simply put, Russian President Vladimir Putin stands to gain a lot if his government outperforms other developed nations. This is made possible due to their state-controlled media. Right before COVID-19 started to spread across the world, Putin planned to host a referendum vote. A referendum vote is defined as a general vote by the electorate on a single political question, which has been referred to them for a direct decision. Putin proposed the Russian Federal Assembly on January 15th to put a constitutional amendment on the table. This would allow him, if passed, to run for 2 more 6-year terms. This referendum would also ban same-sex marriage, prioritize Russian constitutional law over international law, pushing a deep faith in God, and further deepening their welfare state, all in one singular vote. The vote took place between June 25th and July 1st, and passed with an overwhelmingly majority of yes votes. 78.56% of people who voted yes, and the referendum boasted a 67.88% voter turnout rate, extremely high percentage. There are glaring questions on the legitimacy of the results of the referendum, as Putin's approval rating dropped from 90% in January before the pandemic outbreak to around half of that before the vote took place. The Russian people are struggling, and Putin is lying about it. He is refusing any help from governments and nonprofit organizations alike. As a United States citizen who stands up for democracy and basic human rights, such as freedom of speech, I am urging for the United States to stand up strong against the Russian government. Much of the developed world views Russia unfavorably. The coronavirus has exposed how bad authoritarian regimes can be for its people. President Trump, I am asking you to form an intelligence community with other countries that have felt victim to these Russian hacks and to fight against these injustices, these human atrocities that Russia is committing. Denounce the APT29 hacking group, also known as Cozy Bear, that is connected to the Russian government. Not only are they suspected for hacking or leading the hack into our pharmaceutical and academic institutes, but they are also accused of interfering in the 2016 US presidential elections, smaller gubernatorial or Senate elections, and even UK parliamentary elections. Use our global purchasing power and our trading power to punish any country that does business with Russia and provide rewards for those who don't. Place tariffs on Russian trade until they stop these grave injustices, because if not, this will only get worse. They need to stop the state-sponsored media, and Western embassies need to start developing trusting relationships with their people in Russia. Show that there are government systems that can be trusted, as it is well known and well documented that Russians tend to have trust issues. Run advertisements on television targeted towards Americans living in Russia, but will also be exposed to Russian citizens. These advertisements will be broadcasted in Russian, or maybe in English with Russian subtitles, and will let Americans know that the consulate in Moscow and the embassies that surround it are there for them to assist in any way that they can, whether it be suggestions for exceptional Russian lodging, schooling, or hospitals, or if they even need help finding lost loved ones in the area. This is what our embassies and consulates are supposed to do. Not only will this showcase that the US government and other governments alike care for their abroad citizens, because once an American, always an American, it'll also show that Western countries respect Russian culture, that we respect and understand that there are great institutions in Russia. It speaks highly of things that Russia has to offer. This will hopefully develop a relationship that can help expose Russians to Western ideology, to break down those barriers. Because Russians, as I said earlier, tend to have trust issues, mainly because of state controlled media and generations of their government mistreating them. Hopefully, we can expose democracy to them. Hopefully, we can give them a taste of what freedom of speech can lead to. As a United States citizen, it is our responsibility as citizens to ensure that the voices across the world are being heard, and we must do anything in our power to make sure that those rights are not taken away from them.